Okay, I'm sorry that I'm 9 minutes late. This is the day I'm going to India, so a little complication. But let's start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Canto 10, Chapter 46, Text 44. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Evaṁ niśā bruvator vyatītā nandasya kṛṣṇānucarasya rājan gopyaḥ samutthāya nirūpya dīpān vāstūn samabhyarcya daudhīny amanthun. When Krishna's messenger continued speaking with Nanda, the night ended, O king. The women of the cowherd village rose from bed and, lighting lamps, worshipped their household deities. Then they began churning the yogurt into butter. Om nandasya yananjana shalakaya taksur unlatam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Sapadantikam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So greetings from New Jersey. Such a nice program yesterday, even though Jack was not here. We had 23 people here. And so many different preparations. some type of crepe to pretzels and mustard, to sweet rice left from the feast, to rice and dal. It was really nice. Now, what Nanda would have said here is, when the night ended, so what did this mean? It meant that Uddhava spent all night preaching to Nanda Maharaj. And you don't spend all night and up night, because now everybody's getting up, if your preaching is successful. So he was to pacify the residents of Vrindavan. And as we remember at the very beginning, Uddhava was mentioned as the topmost council in all of Dwarka. So he was the most expert at understanding people's minds and moving them to the conception he wants. hopefully a counselor has a noble mission, that someone's in illusion and he wants to move him to knowledge, or someone's in ignorance and wants to have him, to move someone to competency, or to move someone to character, to move someone to productivity. So yeah, a mentor. So they're expert. Of course, people who have these skills can use them for devious means. A salesman can sell you a piece of junk. So there are techniques of mind control and salesmanship and all these things. But of course, his objective was to pacify them, because the order from Krishna was to please my father, relieve him of his distress, give him some hope. So the fact that he tried all night, including at one point trying to raise him to a very philosophical conception of who Krishna was, because one means of relieving someone's distress is to give them a vision of reality, because reality is beautiful. The whole purpose of yoga is to bring people to a higher level of perception and contentment. There's something about, what does a psychologist do? He tries to give people a more reasonable view of what they're seeing. So there was this attempt. So part of it is philosophy. I was counseling a person recently who felt they were cheated. And it was very devastating for them. It had to do with quite a bit of money. But they were able to digest it because of philosophical acumen. That's why a child is given so much protection, because their buddhi or their intelligence is not developed. So if something happens to them, they have no way to put it in the proper perspective. And what does the parent do? The parent educates the child. So the child is older, they can be less protected because they have their own intelligence and maturity to digest things. That's why sometimes psychologists describe this helicopter parenting, where the parent just stays over the child all the time. It's not healthy, because they don't learn to deal with the world themselves and develop their ability to digest things. Yeah, a lot of psychologists now talk about the benefit of unsupervised play. So children can experience and develop themselves, they can apply what they. And of course, that's why for a young child in a proper culture, the most important thing is obedience. What does the education of the child do? By the parent, it trains his intelligence. And as the child matures, he transfers the obedience to himself or herself, the mother or father, to the child's own intelligence, which the parent has trained them up. So Uddhava is trying that. This is who your child is, trying to give him some tattva, some philosophy. But he tried all night. Evidently, he just gave up because there's no way to pacify the emotions of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda. Now, you notice it was Nanda Maharaj, it's not Yasoda. Yasoda wouldn't even talk to him, wouldn't even recognize him, wouldn't even greet him. That was the level. So this is what Krishna means. Krishna means all attractive, and it means the reality or person that can get you the most attached and cause you the most pain in separation. That's what Krishna means. So this is what's happening here all night, going on and trying one way or another, is saying it. So we may all had this experience in trying to help someone, trying to explain this way, trying to explain that way, trying to make this understanding, try to make that understanding. He continued, the night ended. That means the dawn has come. And what happened? This is when the women of the cowherd village rose from bed. Generally, the most auspicious muhurta, there are 48 muhurtas or divisions of the day in 36 minutes. 48 minutes, 36 times 48, that's 24 hours. So we have hours, but they had muhurtas. And each time of the day had a different type of influence. So the 48 minutes before sunrise is the Brahma Muhurta. And the cultured people would like to be up at that time because that's when the meditation is most powerful. With the gopis there, they get up and lighting lamps. Wow. We have so many damn conveniences. So many damn conveniences. And we pay for them and we work for them. We pay for every megabyte, gigabyte, whatever it is. We pay for every text message. And I'm enjoying them here. And I'm afraid to go to Vrindavan. I'm getting too cush here. I don't have a refrigerator in Vrindavan. I don't buy organic broccoli. I don't turn on the shower with unlimited hot water. I have a little geyser. It's almost torturous because it's free when it's freezing in the winter and you turn it on, you're already counting the minutes when it's going to run out. Maya Sukhaya. For every step of advancement we make, we take 2 steps back in terms of our consciousness, and we see it. The world is more technologically advanced than ever, and more in anxiety than ever. 1 out of 4 children, it says, maybe it's either 1 out of 10 adults or 1 of 4 children, 1 out of 4, 1 out of 10. One of them is the number of people who are depressed. Children depressed, adults depressed. And what's causing it? All these delights that we have, the culture, the thing. We have cars now. So instead of walking across the street every day to hear the village guru speak, we can do it once a week and take a car. And as we experienced yesterday when we were all together, community is the greatest joy, material joy, which transfers to spiritual joy. It's the greatest joy, love, relationships, friends. When I grew up, I knew everybody on my block. Lived on 105, 105th Street, 36 Avenue N. I think there were 12 or 14 houses, 2 family houses, basically 1 family with just a little apartment. And I can knock on every door, and I knew every person. My mother didn't take me to play dates. Just opened the door. Just open the door. Maya Sukhaya. So this is actually advancement in a culture, an advancement in a consciousness. And lighting lamps. And what do? They samabhyarcya. They worship their deities. And then they began churning the yogurt into butter. And the churning the yogurt into butter with that stick in the milk, and then the milk into butter, into yogurt, then the yogurt into butter, and like this. So they had this kind of exercise also. And then they're always around cow dung, and cow dung, according to scientific studies done in Rensselaer Institute of Technology up near Albany, one scientist isolated a bacteria that was an antidepressant found in cow dung. I don't think people in villages get depressed. Remember one time I was dealing with in Vrindavan, where quite mature devotee, but he had some psychological problems that came up, and he got very depressed. And people were preaching to him. And I thought, he knows the philosophy better than you. It's not the problem. So I went to one of the temple leaders and explained he's depressed. The temple leader said, depression? I heard that what is depression? I heard people in Bollywood get depressed, but what is, still live with his mother. He's my age. What is this depression? So, tadiptar manibir vareju rajur vikarshad bujakan kanasaja kalam nitamba stanahara kundala twishat kapolaruna kunkumanu na. As they pulled on the churning ropes with their bengaled arms, the women of Vraj shone with the splendor of their jewels, which reflected the lamp's light. It sounds like just like the people you see in Walmart. Joking. I think Rati once, I know someone sent me pictures from Walmart, how people dress. Jack was telling me he celebrated his father's birthday, and his father loved NASCAR, National Association of Car Racing or something. 160,000 people in Bristol, Tennessee. And they stayed about, because there's so many people coming, they stayed over the border in Virginia. And he just couldn't believe a whole town of grossly obese people. The advancement. And when I go to Vrindavan, right? I mean, the first thing I'll do practically is I believe it or not, I just got a WhatsApp message yesterday from Badrinath. I couldn't believe it, from Badrinath. The signals are up in Badrinath. And it was Shyam Sundari from Colombia. And it was Atul Krishna, who served in Colombia, telling me of their ecstasies, their mystical, they were so enthusiastic, their ecstasies of and people crying and just such an such a protected place up in the Himalayas. It must be so beautiful and peaceful. That's what's peaceful. Prabhupada said Prabhupada quoted the British poet Cooper. The city is made by man, the country is made by God. And seeing God is feeling God. And there's an energy in the heart that gives some internal flourishing. That it's hard when we're technologically, we're using it now. Prabhupada said you use a thorn to take out a thorn. So we have to use it for this type of communication. But by seeing them, and they were so sweet and so nice, and said they're coming to Vrindavan with 25 people, and they want to come to see me and introduce them to Vrindavan. I said, I'm open to any service, whether you need me or not. No, we need you. We want to see you. And then Govardhan the next day, can you go? I said, well, I don't know. No, we want you to go. But I'm checking it out. I'm going to go, and we're going to have the Brijbasi rotis, which many of you have taken in the gardens, the Brijbasi rotis. No refrigerator in the house. Everything's eaten fresh. That's advancement of culture. Somehow or other, the illusory energy has gotten us so confused, even as devotees. So confused. When I looked at Atul and Shyam Sundari and saw their smiling faces, immediately I quoted a verse. Because I said, it will walk around Govardhan. They said, no problem for us. They were walking miles and miles and miles. And miles and miles and miles. I said, Tapo divyam, yena kaputva sattvam, shudyed yasmad brahmasokyam tunanta. Austerity, divine austerity, devotional austerity. When you neglect the irrational impulses of the mind and senses, the irrational impulses of the mind and senses to engage in Krishna's service, neglecting the irrational thoughts of mind and senses, which engross you in the bodily platform and put you in that vyaṁ dvitiya, fear and duality. And when you neglect that, you become detached from that. And in bhakti, that moves you towards the thoughts of Krishna, which create that energy of devotion between the soul and God, which is the prayojana, to feel that, to feel God, to feel the presence of God. And they were so beautiful. Their hips and breasts and necklace moved about, and their faces, anointed with reddish kumkum, glowed radiantly with the luster of their earrings reflecting from their cheeks. So they're dressed up nicely. That was also the culture. And of course, as they're gopis in their mind, it is the Shakti, it's to please Krishna. They look beautiful, not to exploit people, but to please people. That's the difference in bhakti. Bhakti is not about exploitation. It's about giving pleasure. It's about service. And their service is to look beautiful. And even in that type of culture, the science of family life and the man ego and the woman ego and how that work best, we have our own ideas in the modern, postmodern world. That is certain, mostly binary conception, man and woman, and how they relate, and what the man's ego needs, what the woman's ego needs, what the consciousness was. Ugayatinam Aravindalochanam Rajan Gananam Divam Asprashadvadni Tadasjanir Mantana Shabda Mishrito Nirasyate Yena Dishama Mangalam. And what do they do? What is their ultimate activity in the spiritual world? It's kirtan. Because if the ultimate activity is love, then if the ultimate consciousness is love, then the ultimate activity is kirtan, which is the prime expression of love. As the ladies of Vraja loudly sang the glories of lotus-eyed Krishna. Lotus indicates some position of beauty. As they lotus-eyed, the lotus is the conception of transcendence in this world. Because you ever see lotuses in a pond, it's like they're from another world. It has some sense of, we're in the mud, because that's where lotuses grow, but we're beyond that. And in the season where there's lotuses, which is not very often in Vrindavan, they make garlands of lotus flowers. So that sense of in this world of beauty, the lotus, so lotus eyes, lotus feet. And their songs, blended with the sounds of their churning, ascended to the sky and dissipated all inauspiciousness in every direction. Nirasyate yena disham amangalam. Nirasyate, amangalam, it all inauspiciousness. Because what is inauspiciousness? Inauspiciousness is selfishness. Inauspiciousness is being disconnected from God. That's what's inauspicious. And there's nothing that connects you to God more than kirtan. Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalo, Nasteva, Nasteva, Gatir, Anya. The only way, it Paramadye, Sarva Shreshte, Nama Sankirtan, Nira Aparade, Poya, Paya Premadan, Kaler Doshe, Nidhe Rājan, Eko Asti Mahagunan, Kirtanad Eva Krishna-sya Mukta Sangam Param Vrajet. So they're kirtan. The cowherd boys do kirtan. When they leave to the forest, they do kirtan. When they're in the forest, they do kirtan. When they return from the forest, they do kirtan. The gopis are always doing kirtan. Mother Yasoda, the residents of Vrindavan, when they're cooking in the morning, Yasomati Nandana Braja Bara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Paranadana Madana Manahara Kaliya Damadar Vidana Amala Harina Mamiya Vilas. What is that? Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. That's what they're chanting. That's Mother Yasoda singing. So they're all singing. It's so auspicious. Even in this world, the greatest joy people have is singing. I turned on to catch a short glimpse of the funeral of Queen Elizabeth, just to see the majesty. And they were having sentiments of separation. For a leader to be revered after 70 years, even to remain for 70 years, is quite an accomplishment. There must be some, and not out of force, there must be some character. some quality. So it was admired. The whole country was mourning. And then so I saw the very end when they're going to take her coffin out of West, and the whole place is singing God Save the Queen with bhakti for the Queen. They had emotion, and you can see how emotion is amplified by the expression of the emotion. It's amplified by that expression of the emotion. So they were singing. We need a song. Even if you're a young teenager, you need a song to express your feelings. When you're depressed, you need the blues. When your puppy love, whatever it is, you need some, yeah, I love you. The gopis were absorbed. And what's interesting now, we can see what's happening in Vrindavan is Uddhava wakes up because his mission is to understand. It's to pacify the gopis in separation, but also understand their love. So he has to see it in union. So when he came, he saw everything. People were chanting and buckets of milk and the cows and the bulls, and he saw everything in Vrindavan, the joy of Vrindavan. Then he sees Nanda Maharaj and the separation. Now he wakes up and he's given a vision. He's given a vision of again, what it's like when Krishna is present in Vrindavan. People waking up and singing out of joy. Bhagavat Yudita Surye Nanda Dvari Vajokasa Trishva Ratam Shata Kumbam Kasyayam Iticha Bruvam. When the godly sun had risen, the people of Raja noticed the golden chariot in front of Nanda Maharaj's doorway. Who does this belong to? They asked. So now they see this golden chariot in front of Nanda Maharaj's house, and the village people begin to talk. What is that? Did you see that? Because in a village, everything is known. You don't need internet. You don't need internet. This will be an inside joke. A few people will understand it, others not. You just need a few yentas. And you will get a few yentas, people who gossip. This chariot, what is that chariot there? What is that chariot? And immediately, because they are Krishna conscious, Sri Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavato Mati, their consciousness is all. So everything they start seeing, they can't stop thinking of Krishna for a moment. If the highest consciousness is love, the highest love is total absorption in that love. Sandrandana Visheshatma. It's complete absorption in that love. So they have complete absorption in that love. So who does this belong to? Akrura agata kimva ka kamsa yarta sadhaka yena nitto madhupurim Krishna kamala lochana. Perhaps Akrura has returned, he who fulfilled Kamsa's desire by taking lotus-eyed Krishna to Mathura. So they're very angry now. Out of love, all these emotions out of love. Yeah, of course they're angry. Of course they're angry. Akrura took Krishna. Why is he called Akrura? Akrura means cruel. He's called Akrura. They've taken Krishna. Of course. So now their mood is going to shift to separation. And Akrura is going to see the madness of the gopis in love. On a material and spiritual platform, the separation from attachments can cause madness. Dayato vishyam pumsa sanga sanjayate kama krodha. When we're attached to something, we become angry when we don't get it. And from that anger, we become bewildered completely. How many people have done crazy things out of anger that they've later regretted? Perhaps Akrua's return, he who has filled Kamsa's desire by taking lotus-eyed Krishna to Mathura. Kim sada yisyat asmabhyar bhartu pritasya niskritam tatashinam vedantinam udavo gat kritanika. Is he going to use our flesh to offer funeral oblations for his master, who is so satisfied with his service? As the women were speaking in this way, Uddhava appeared, having finished his early morning duties. So they're saying, is this that rascal Akrura? Now that Kamsa's killed his master, is he going to take our flesh for the fire? That rascal? He caused us so much pain. He's coming back for more pain. But it's on the transcendental platform of the most intense love. So they're expressing their bitter disappointment. Bitter disappointment. How they felt when Krishna, but now they'll find out that it's actually this unexpected guest, Uddhava, who has Krishna's clothes on and looks like Krishna and is Krishna's servant. Just gives them that moment of disappointment, a glimmer of hope. So this is called Brahma Gita, chapter 47, the song of the bee. Different people have different samskars. I hardly ever listen to rock and roll. Ever. All my friends, I went to them to the Fillmore East, Eric Clapton, somehow I never really got into it. But I had one album that I would listen to that had the best of the classics. So once they had one song that I would listen to is Rimsky-Korsakov's Flight of the Bumblebee. Flight of the Bumblebee. It's a famous where Radharani's mad. She sees a bee, a black bee, Brahmar. She sees that bee and she thinks it must be a messenger from Krishna. And this is called Jalpa Prati Jalpa. They're completely insane out of love. It's the highest consciousness and it's the highest insanity. And out of love, she looks at that bee and says, you are an unreliable servant of an unreliable master. Okay, I'm also going to stop here because a lot to do. But it's nice also to say hello to everybody. But usually I try to at least speak, but it's also a new chapter. And guess my ride will pick me up at 3 o'clock. I'll get to the airport, JFK, really early. And then I guess I'll stay up a little bit later than I usually do because the flight starts at 8:30. If I don't get a lot of sleep on the plane, I don't care because I like to sleep from the ride from the airport into Vrindavan, which I'll arrive in Vrindavan on Friday, probably, 1 o'clock. And then I'll just go to my room and just sit up and chant and just meditate on my fortune. Just meditate on my fortune. It's initially a shock because the atmosphere, the power and consciousness, if I can that day, maybe I'll just immediately go to Radhakund and bathe. Because I like to go to a holy place and bathe. Hare Krishna. Okay, you still there, Jamuna Jaya? Why don't you share your...
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you for class and safe travels. And I can't wait for your class when you get there so you can bring us with you. So I look forward to that very much.
Yeah, I'll tell people my experience. Yeah, go ahead.
But I loved, the whole time when Krishna said, make my father happy, that always like really touched me a lot, but never to today did I ever think about why didn't he say, make my mother happy? And then what you were saying is like, it'd be ridiculous. Mother Yashoda just can't be happy because she's too much in separation of her son, like you were saying, the right brain and the left brain.
I have to look at it. It may have been make my parents happy, but I'm not sure what it was. I'll have to look at the Sanskrit, but you're right. There's no, what can she do with Mother Yashoda?
Yeah, it just wouldn't work. So I'm not going to ask you to try to do this mammoth thing. It's just
and he tried anyway. He spent all night. And then why did he spend all night? You go counsel someone and they're pacified. I'll see you tomorrow. But no, stay up at night and kept on. Are you satisfied? No. We want Krishna. No. Very nice.
Such a team. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Anybody else like to say hello? Gail, you have something to say?
Yeah, I have a suggestion for Jamuna Jaya's next Vyasa Puja button. To see Krishna is to feel Krishna. I love that.
To what? To
see Krishna.
Yeah.
Is to feel Krishna. To see Krishna is to feel Krishna.
Right. To hear Krishna is to see Krishna. Okay.
See Krishna, feel Krishna. Like, and like in the other class, you said that's what having a relationship means. That it's the emotions that you feel when you think of that person.
Yeah.
So that's the real thing. Not what you do with your material vision. Is how you feel when you think of a person. And so I just always love that point. That's the real thing.
You not even have to think. You just feel that person. But
yeah, spontaneously.
Like spontaneously. Okay, on a lower platform, I'm already starting to write the next comedy show for my Vyasa Puja. And Rodney Dangerfield, what happens, it finally becomes a guru. Right, he becomes right, and they also expand his zone from Antarctica to the Arctic Circle. So he makes finally. He wanted a disciple so bad. He makes an Eskimo a devotee, right, and then engages him in igloo sankirtan. And then his disciple joins the Gaudiya Math. He gets no respect. But when he goes to the Gaudiya Math, then he goes to the Gaudiya Math. And when he goes to the Gaudiya Math, he said, I want to join here. He said, well, if you join here, you have to do mahjong. So he goes back and he gets a mahjong set, right? And then he comes back and he tells the guru there, I'm ready to do mahjong. He said, what are you talking about? You said we do mahjong here. He said, no, I said we do bhajan here. Okay, I have to work on it. Okay, anybody else? Next.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Tota Gopinath here.
Wow, did we have a great time yesterday? And I saved all the food, right? Because I didn't eat last night. And then I realized it's a Ekadasi. You don't take grain. So anyway.
Well, it's nice to be at your going away party.
No respect, no respect. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for class.
Oh, okay, Haribo. Good, nice to see you. We'll see you in India this year. Good. Okay, anybody else?
I hope so.
Krishna Guru Maharaj, Namaste here.
Well, I don't know. Think we'll see you in India sometime? Not sure.
I hope so. Yeah, I'm planning to be in the Japa retreat in Jagannath Puri.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Anybody else like to say hello?
Hey, Krishna Guru Maharaj, it's all good.
And Bridget, thank you for
Thank you for
class.
class.
Wow, Haribo.
Haribo.
What a party.
I thought the Mahjong joke was funny. I'm just, just letting you know.
Hilarious. I think you have to tell it in person.
It's hysterical.
And you have to know what mahjong is.
Yeah.
But I said, right. I told it to Bridget. She was hysterical. It doesn't work on internet. It doesn't work on internet. But
yeah.
You gotta have the whole hand gestures and everything like that added to it.
Yeah, it has to. But anyway, I thought too. Makes a devotee an Eskimo and he joins the Gaudiya Math. After doing igloo sankirtan, come on, these are good lines. Anyway, we'll see what we come up with. Okay. Anybody like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Good to see you. You kidnapped your mother. We should make
she will go this week, I think. Yeah, I'll go next week. Yeah.
We should make a report to the police. Your mother has her own life in a beautiful island with ocean that she walks. Okay. Anybody else say hello?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for class, Maharaj.
Min. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Have a safe trip back to India.
Right. And thank you I got all those things. And maybe after I settle in Vrindavan, maybe after a month or so, we'll connect again. And I'd like to discuss the work.
Okay.
Okay, good. Haribo, thank you. Anybody else like to say hello? Okay, I see all the names here. So thank you all for listening. And yeah, we'll see you on Sunday. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha.